Hi guys, I haven't really done a video like this in a while, and I'm gonna be on this for about 10 minutes because I have somewhere to be in a little while. But before I leave, I just wanted to let everyone know that I've been trying to do this video for a while now, and I haven't really had the time to, nor had the urge to, or really pushed to, because I just did not feel that it could be possible to do this video anymore. But after a few months now of seeing things happen, things that I feel need to be addressed and really talked about more in depth, so that people can understand why some things that they think are bad might not be so bad, and why now might be the time to act on certain things to make sure that we can change things for the better have to happen. I felt like now is the time to make this video. So I have to only have 10 minutes to do this, but I'm going to do it now. So here's what I'm going to talk about first. Throughout this 10 minutes. So the first thing is, Variety is apparently saying, like, right now there's going to be super fan focus groups placed at movie studios to kind of better determine where to go on certain projects, so that it does not lead to financial disaster or critical disaster or fan backlash or so on and so forth. And while I understand in the case of franchises like Star Wars or Marvel, this could be a bad thing, especially since there are defenders of The Last Jedi and Andor who think Star Wars should not appeal to fans and be still trapped in nostalgia, even though I feel like sometimes it can be a good thing and sometimes it can't be a bad thing, and there's really no yes or no answer to this question. I feel like it's not as clear-cut as people claim. And especially after Phase 4 of the MCU has been hit or miss, that now we're getting Avengers Doomsday with Robert Downey Jr. as Dr. Doom, a plan that people like myself feel very apprehensive about, which I'll talk about later for all other reasons. But because despite people thinking that maybe Marvel and Star Wars could be affected by this, and they do think it's a bad idea that could harm creativity and essentially kill in Hollywood, I actually feel like we should be open to the idea that this could be used for the better rather than the bad. Because here's the thing, and this relates to my second point, this super fan focus group could, if studios like Disney are assembling it, or Warner Brothers, or so on and so forth, perhaps this super fan focus group could be the opportunity that we need to essentially, bring back projects at Disney and Walt Disney Animation Studios that are not only long form and hand-drawn animated, that have been really not been around since the sabotage of release that was Winnie the Pooh back in 2011, when that was released against Harry Potter 7 Part 2, intentionally, I feel, to try and kill it off forever, even though I feel like it has not really gone away, just hasn't really been used to its full potential. And I say this because the last successful hand-drawn animated feature film that Disney made, The Princess and the Frog, 15 years ago, was a financial hit with $271 million against a $65 to $105 million budget. And with that being said, I feel like that should be a sign that maybe Disney should, really even Bob Iger and the new head of Walt Disney Animation Studios, Jared Bush, both of whom I hope are listening to this video and are watching it, at least if they have the time to, need to understand that they shouldn't just abandon hand-drawn animated long-form projects anymore. And my hope is, and Mr. Iger, Mr. Bush, if you're listening, I hope that you can see the success of Disney's Moana 2 after turning that from a Disney Plus series into theatrical feature film, if the quality is strong enough to help it make $1 billion when it comes out next month. And to see the success of other hand-drawn animated feature films like The Lord of the Rings, The War of the Rohirrim, and The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie, when those come out in December and February, when those potentially become hits at the box office with critics and at the awards, especially The Day the Earth Blew Up, which I hope all of you out there don't pirate when it's streaming on Germany next week and wait to watch it theatrically February 20th, because I feel like we can't just really call on studios to go back to hand-drawn animation when we ourselves might risk undoing that if we make the wrong move. basically, my hope, Mr. Iger and Mr. Bush, is that you see the billion-dollar success of Moana 2 after turning it from a long-form Disney Plus series that has a clear-cut story and is all one story into a theatrical feature film. And you see the success of not just that film, but also the Lord of the Rings anime film and the Day the Earth Blew Up a Looney Tunes movie, to maybe realize that maybe you should go back to hand-drawn animation again, starting with, in a long-form project, starting with with Tiana. If the Tiana series for Disney Plus, especially if you decide to turn that from, what I'm hearing is a Disney Plus series with a Paper Man style animation but in color, and switch it from that into a fully hand-drawn animated feature film that I hope maybe you can release in 2029, in 5 years, so you have the time you need to make the project like that with that animation style possible, along with making sure that the hand-drawn animators you've got together come back, along with the ones still at Disney that are there, and plus the ones that are still alive, because I don't feel like this is a project that needs to be rushed so fast like Moana 2 kind of was, to kind of save your Walt Disney Animation Studios behind after the failures of films like Strange World and Wish. So my hope is that after you have Moana 2 this year, Zootopia 2 next year, your original animated feature in 2026, and Frozen 3 and 4 in 2027 and 2028, that you try once more with a hand-drawn animated feature film for the big screen with The Princess and the Frog 2, if you turn the Tiana series into that feature film. Really, Mr. Iger, I just feel like you have been not listening to some of what we've been asking for years, just because you felt it was as unrealistic as the Screen Actors Guild and the Writers Guild asking for what they believed was realistic, but you thought it wasn't. Please don't do that anymore, Mr. Iger. Start seeing that things have to be realistic for us, and try to get back to doing what we think you deserve, especially what we think we deserve, and what we feel has to happen. Especially now that we hope that you retire in early 2026 as planned, and that you don't secretly lie to us and stay in power past that, because you've been kind of hurting Disney's creative angle a bit in terms of some ways long enough, and I feel like the time for a new leader has to happen now. Especially one who won't treat unions so poorly and not give them what they want. And on that note, Mr. Iger, I really hope you and the studios in the AMPTP give the Animation Guild the fair deal they want in 9 days, and don't shut down Hollywood again. Because really, I'm tired of these claims that what the unions want are unfair. And really, I just want this whole negotiations thing to go down well, and that for things to end with a fairness, so that we can finally move on and get back to what we all want to see in theaters. And especially if the Animation Guild can try to get their way and get hand-drawn animation back into theaters. And finally, I wanted to talk about Avengers Doomsday quickly, because aside from me thinking like the casting of RDJ as Doctor Doom is a bad idea, I kind of feel like releasing it in May of 2026, when you only had 8 months to kind of rewrite the whole script and like get it in order, with only a shooting date that's going to happen on March 31st, 2025, is not a good idea. And I feel like that film should be delayed to December 18th, 2026, so that way it can make more money than it will in May 2026, and so that it isn't rushed and doesn't overshadow other films coming out in its wake, like Star Wars The Mandalorian and Grogu on May 22nd, 2026, which, forgive me, Iger, but I can't believe you are this foolish to release 3 weeks after an Avengers movie, another Star Wars movie 3 weeks after an Avengers movie, again, just like you did with Solo back in 2018, and we saw what happened with that film. So please, Mr. Iger, for my sanity and sake, and for the sanity and sake of everyone else, please just delay Avengers Doomsday to December 18th, 2026, so you can have a film that makes more money than it will in May, so you can end your time at Disney on a high note and finally leave at the end of the year, and just don't let The Mandalorian and Grogu get overshadowed by any other films, because I feel like that film is essential to bring Star Wars back to the big screen, even if others don't agree. And I feel like you've got to get your priorities straightened out and let Star Wars be able to succeed again, and to let Marvel not have a rushed Avengers film again, especially with how much Marvel has kind of had to go through over the last few years with your previous pick for replacement, Bob Chapek. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Just if everyone's listening to this video, not just inside Disney, but outside Disney and everywhere else, just please listen and please try to make the good happen, because I feel like we can. Thank you.